morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this enlightening session on transformation, data as a reason. I'm Carolyn, and I lead the marketing initiatives at Changes, and I am the host for this session. Today, we delve into the powerful role of data plays in driving innovation and change. It's a true honor to have two distinguished leaders with us today who have made significant contributions in the field of technology and data-driven innovation. First, we have Samir Mehta, the Chief Data Officer at Kroll, based in New York City. Samir is a true visionary in the realm of data and analytics, having launched multiple enterprise-wide data strategy programs that have empowered organizations to become data-driven. With over 25 years of experience in data strategy, operations, and implementation, Samir has led transformations in various industries, including aerospace and defense, manufacturing, and financial services. Joining Samir is Sharon Dahl, who currently serves as Kroll's Chief Information Officer, also based in New York. With over 25 years of experience, Sharon has played pivotal roles in technology, operations, and business transformation. Her impressive track record includes leading successful enterprise-wide initiatives such as transformation efforts, enterprise robotic programs, and process re-engineering. In her current role, she shapes and supports Kroll's growth through strategic use of technology, data, and people resources to enhance customer and employee experience. Sharon's impact extends beyond her professional roles as she actively supports community initiatives and diversity networks. Together, they will shed light on the pivotal role of data in driving innovation and transformation. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our distinguished speakers, Samir Mehta, Sharon Dahl. Over to you, Samir and Sharon.
Great. Thank you, Caroline, and hello to everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining. Samira and I are humbled by that introduction. I'm not sure why he was first, just kidding. But we are humbled to be sharing our thoughts with all of you. I would advocate if you have questions, thoughts, obviously outside of the webinar itself, there's ways to connect with us, and I advise you do that. But more importantly, I'm really excited to be here. And as Caroline talked about our background, we come at this data from different perspectives. And I do think it's interesting for any of the CDO types that are out there, you're a certain animal and breed. And I appreciate that. And honestly, Samir's leadership has been very helpful in moving our company's data transformation along a journey. But I'm going to start with a little bit about the company and a little bit about our journey as a business, and then hand it off to Samir, who's going to take us through what he's been up to. And more importantly, I would say towards the end of this, we're going to have some Q&A. So if we can go to the next slide. So Kroll, for some folks who may be aware of Kroll has also been known in industry as Duff & Phelps, series of acquisitions, but a company that I would say is a sweet spot, about 6,500 employees, many different business lines. But ultimately, we are a #1 provider in risk and financial advisory services and products. So you'll see solutions is what we do. We're known around the world in different aspects across these different business lines, which I'll touch in a minute. But there's a rich history, and I would say there's a data-rich environment that this company has been propagating. But this slide that you see here is not written from a data perspective. This is actually one of our, go-to-market kind of marketing encompassing services we provide. And if you start to see the title of our talk here is Data for a Reason, well, you can see expert insights, data intelligence, platforms, tech-forward platforms, a trusted brand. As I said, there's a rich history behind Kroll. I'm not going to spend too much time in the webinar on that, but that comes with, again, data-rich efforts. And I would tell you the reason I start here is, one, if you don't know who Kroll is, fantastic company, transforming from, again, many small companies into one team, one Kroll is kind of a motto for us. But not only from a technology perspective, but from a data perspective, we've been evolving our footprint way before just the conversation of data, which is what we're all having today, started. So we got many breadth and depth of capabilities. The next slide really talks about our businesses. And if you think about it, we have, as I said, series of acquisitions, but we span these different environments in terms of businesses, valuations. We're very much well known in our arena around providing valuations, private valuations, compliance and regulatory advice and advisement, restructuring, cyber risk. Some folks will probably know Legacy Kroll name for one of the things that we do very well is our cyber type of activities, pen testing, breaches, things like that. And of course, the other businesses. The reason I'm teeing this up is that concept of data for a reason is exactly what these business lines are about in our products and services. So you just don't do it because you have data. You do it because there's a compelling use case, and it being a journey of how to manufacture, leverage data, actually provide value growth for our clients or employees and these products and services, some of which have pre-existed in these business lines. But when I kind of look at this, and I think Samir is probably going to do a better job of talking about it, is when you put it all together, unlike other companies, which I'm sure is the common, it may have not been contemplated in a way to best use leverage and frankly drive that growth that we're all yearning for. So we've done a lot around this journey. We are still in it. I think anyone who says we've finished and we're done with their data journey is probably not living reality, because it's a continuous process and it's a continuous evolution as the market changes. So with that, I think my next slide, Samir, is a little bit about more of an internal slide, but I think it's important. My CIO perspective around data is much broader, right? I deliver on enterprise kind of efforts. We deliver on business and client applications, modernizing our tech platforms, and then more or less our people and client experience. These are a window into some of the goals that I'm trying to drive cohesively across the enterprise. So they might sound general, but at the heart of it is the data strategy. And I would tell you, you can't create these efforts separately. You can't handle them separately. So I'm going to let Samir now talk a little bit about kind of the CDO perspective, but that's why I think there are different perspectives around how you look at this. Business, product lines, business strategy, a CIO enabling type of capability, which is what I'm talking about. And then what Samir will talk about is the CDO perspective and a little bit about the progress and transformation that we're delivering on here at Kroll. So with that, Samir, over to you.
Thank you, Sharon. First of all, Caroline, thank you for that introduction. And yeah, you probably should have put Sharon. It's okay.
Sorry.
But Sharon, thanks for that, the part that you covered as well, too, because I think that will lead very nicely into what we're trying to do here from a data perspective, and that how that fits into the larger technology plan, as well as even the more larger Kroll organization. And so if you remember back a slide ago, Sharon had put together and shown all of the different service lines and business units that we have here at Kroll. What that is basically telling us is that we have a lot of disparate businesses that operate independently in many ways, and what is the backbone or the connective tissue for all those different service lines to come together. And what that is basically data, right? Every service line relies on data. Every service line produces data. It consumes data, and so do Kroll's clients. And so how do we find that theme? Well, themes were, as we looked across each of those service lines and what we wanted to do as an organization with each one, there are basically 4 guiding principles that we put together that matches the technology goals that you saw on the last slide as well, too. And what they really are 4 of them, and I'll go into each one with a bit of detail. One is there's a lot of non-standard data management processes organization-wide. So how do we tackle that? So the very first thing we said, we want to take our non-standard processes and standardize them as best as possible. So all of our different service lines and our end customers can benefit from that standardization. That's one. Two is because we are a professional services organization, we rely a lot on our client engagements, and our client engagements produce a lot of data that is unstructured. How do we go about taking that unstructured data and actually structuring it so that we can reuse that data going forward and develop new data products and new data services for our respective service lines, who then are also going to provide that to our end customers as well. So that was guiding principle number two. Guiding principle number three is because we have a lot of different service lines, our data finds itself in silos. And all of you are in the data world, know you've heard about data silos and how do you break those silos down? Well, the way you break those down is put together in a format of how do you connect that data organization-wide. And that's the third guiding principle, is our disparate data to our connected, to becoming connected. And then lastly, if you do the first three things successfully, you have your data in a position where you can actually have it consumable by end customers in many different methods. And that's basically digitizing our data. And we offer that up in many different ways to our service lines as well as to our clients at large as well too. So if you take all four of these guiding principles and you kind of bring them together, you have what is our data program here at Crow. Everything that we do as an organization, it needs to fall into at least one of these guiding principles. Most of it falls actually in all four. I think these are broad enough to have every initiative that we do fall in each of these areas, but for sure they need to fall in at least one. And then we'll find some value in that, doing that work. So basically, taking these four guiding principles, overlaying it over the CIO technology goals makes for a very good blend of technology and data goals coming together for the betterment of the organization, and most importantly for the betterment of our end clients as well too. Okay, and then the keys to transformation, keys to basically data transformation. Transformations happen in many different ways in organizations. There's a business transformation that happens. There's technology transformations, and then data transformation. Sharon and I today are focusing on the technology and more specifically on the data transformation out of those three. What are the keys to that? Basically, know what you're transforming. You really need to understand end to end what your goals are of a transformation, specifically a data and technology transformation, what you're trying to achieve, and how you're going to measure those successes. If you can do those three things quite well, you're off to a really good start. So that's the top left there. The top right, clearly data. Know your data. Understand where your data is. Understand what it's telling you. Understand how do you get to it, and make it available. So basically, create transparency over your data set. If you can't create that transparency, you can't do any of the things I mentioned before. So make sure that you understand your data extremely well before you take on any projects. Profile your data, right? Create that transparency, understand it, know what it's doing, what it's telling you, and then it'll make for a much easier project program going forward. Moving down to the far left there on the bottom, people. This is probably the most critical element of any data transformation, is making sure you have the right skill sets in the folks that you have helping you achieve your goals here. And we've just listed a few there. There are more than that, but these are normally the key players that you have involved in any data transformation. And these folks are very critical to your success. And I'll even go one step further and say that it's not just the data folks that you need to make sure are part of the program, but it's also your business partners. They are very critical because they're at the end of the line consuming what you're producing. And also they play a role at the top half of the line as well too, because they are helping you create what those requirements are, so that at the end the product that you're gonna actually deliver has value to the business and the end customer. So that people component, I can't stress that anymore, but that is very important in any transformation. And then lastly, bottom right, folks, it's a journey. It's not going to end. There's no end date. And if there's an end date, then you don't have a successful program. These programs evolve. They take on different turns. I like to say, one day you'll come in and you'll be on a paved road. The next day you come in, you'll be parachuting off of a plane. You'll be at the cliff, looking down into the sea from on top of a mountain. That's just the way these programs are, and you got to be ready for any terrain in front of you and be able to tackle that terrain as you go forward here, right? So if you take all four of these things, know your scope, know your data, know your people, get the best people you can find, and understand that it's a journey. If you take all four, you mix it into the CDGO guiding principles that you saw before, and you take all of these 8 things and you mix it with the 4 technology goals that Sharon spoke about, you have the ingredients for a very successful transformation. And so if you can do that and you can do that successfully, your transformation will go really well. And the underlying theme here is all about data, right? That's the reason for transformations. We're producing data every day. We're consuming data every day. And that's why we have titled this as data as a reason for these transformations. I think, Caroline, that might be the end of what we would like to share with you. We will open up the floor for any questions that the audience may have.
Sure thing. Thank you so much, Samir and Sharon, for this insightful session. I would request all the audience to keep shooting in your questions in the question box provided right below. Okay, I have some questions here, Samir. I'm bringing them up.
Okay.
The AI mandate from corporate boardrooms has accentuated the importance of enterprise data. How do you satisfy these board mandates when organizations are still grappling with formalizing data functions and programs within their own corporate priorities?
I'll yield the floor to Sharon here.
So I think, by the way, I got some feedback. I might not be on screen. If I'm not, someone just text me. I'll come over. I know you can, but I'll come over to Samir's screen if that's the case. So I think when you talk about, I think, okay, I'm going to move because I got some feedback. So we're doing this on the fly. And then we'll kind of switch over if that's the case. So Caroline, can you just repeat the question for me?
Sure, Sharon. The AI mandate from corporate boardrooms has accentuated the importance of enterprise data. How do you satisfy these board mandates when organizations are still grappling with formalizing data functions and programs within their own corporate priorities?
Well, I think one of the things in that question in and of itself is demonstrating the actual market industry transformation, which is you don't talk about data outside of corporate priorities, business priorities, and strategic priorities. And so I think a lot of boards at all levels, especially when they start talking about AI, because that's a little newer, are struggling with how does this show up for us? And I can tell you, if your business priorities are clear, it's very easy then to transcend into product capabilities or technical capabilities that accelerate the data standardization, the quality, some of the things we've been talking about. So I am very conscious that a board also gets their information from sources. So my view of this whole is around what are the business strategies and how does data show up to satisfy them. So here at Kroll, we have products that deliver quite strong data components to them. They will continue. They're leading in their markets. And how they come together across our different business silos is a little more about the enterprise data needs. The easy ones are master data. People know employee data, client data, financial data. Those are almost a requirement and not stated as an objective from a board, but that is what you need to maximize your assets across any organization, any size. So I think it's really around that business strategic alignment, the direction, and not being separate as a dialogue. It is core. And I think a little bit of the people side of this is the world we live in now, data is not separate. When you start talking about, different products, especially technology related, but it's how you do business. So to answer your question, it's an education, it's a joint education, it's outside influences, but there's also prioritization. So how does it yield, whether it's efficiency or growth, and making that part of the actual board dialogue.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yep.
I have another question here. I see that Crow is well entrenched in an ERP transformation. How have you seen these implementations change or stay the same over the years? And why do you think that this is a case?
Okay, two things. One is, I think most organizations, and as I talked about, go through many enterprise type of efforts. We happen to be in one right now. My whole career, I've probably done 5 or 6 of these, whether they're finance, HR, sales, and depending on the size of the company, it's very common to upgrade, change, and manage your enterprise platform. So we are no different. We are doing that. As we talked a little bit about our different businesses and our acquisitions, it's only going to make us better. So that's kind of where we are in part of our evolution. It also creates the foundation for master data. It also creates the evolution for contemplating how we provide that type of data to our service lines and our product lines. So it's exciting because, again, it's not about the data. It's actually about the capabilities of unleashing things across an organization like Kroll. And it sets some foundational layers around data quality, data standardization, all the things that actually, if you deliver along the way, is almost just reaping the benefit of why do platforms show up as tools and services that help our employees and then in turn our clients. So that's what we're doing, and we're hitting all these basics, even on this slide: data source, quality, storage, consumption. All of that is happening as we move along our ERP evolution.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. We have a question here from one of our attendees. How was your journey with Crawl? How was the journey of Crawl with Changes, and how did they help in your transformation?
I'm going to hand it off so I don't take all the airtime, because I don't think it's fair. I'm going to let Samir actually answer that question.
Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Caroline. The program here, our data program, is very complex. So I hope you gathered from the slide that we showed you here today that we are a very complex organization, and that makes for an environment where we do find every day new challenges. The Changes team has helped us in various ways. Clearly, they're taking on all of the data work associated with our ERP program. That's number one, and there's many work streams that come with that. I think the most important aspect of that program for the larger organization is going to be the enterprise data model that the Changes team is helping Kroll build. Because to that, we will add data attributes that represent the business side of the organization, and then we would have one enterprise data model that's servicing the entire organization. That is, I think, the biggest accelerator and the most important asset that the Changes team is helping Kroll build today.
Perfect. Thank you, Samir. Okay, I'm not sure who to give this question to, but the title of this section was quite eye-catching: Data as a Reason. The proliferation of data is the reason driving digital transformations. Usually, successful transformations revolve around people, process, and technology, and how all of that interacts with data. How do you see transformations changing now with AI capabilities coming online?
Sharon, you, me.
You start and I'll join.
Okay.
We'll split our screen too.
We'll try and share the screen here.
Good.
Look, AI is still it's still basically in its discovery mode. Organizations are trying to figure out how best to apply AI to solve their problems here. ERP programs are repeated in nature, and having done ERP programs now in finance, in manufacturing, manufacturing is far more complicated than financial transformations with ERP. AI should be able to take each of those areas within the ERP program that are repeatable and accelerate all of that. Okay, I see no reason why that can't happen. And that's how I would see AI contributing to ERP programs going forward.
I would just probably add, I am so excited about the AI conversation, even though for anyone who's been in this industry long enough would probably say it's not new. It's probably more accessible, it's more mainstream, and the stack of solutions are changing daily. And so for me, putting ERP aside, because I feel like that's a very specific point of where we are as an organization, I would probably say just the hype around AI and the pace of change is, at its root, it's around, again, use cases or strategies for products and services that can be accelerated in a way that is game changing. And it takes the traditional roles, to be honest. You got a CIO, you got a CDO. It takes some traditional engineering roles and accelerates their value add. And also, in some cases, makes it accessible to driving those business strategies. So I'm excited about the growth, the dominance, and the accessibility that really empowers, whether it's a practitioner or whether it's a marketing person or a product person, to just to go quick. That enablement, though, comes back to the picture. What does it mean to the data? What does it mean to the quality? How are you ensuring that? So I'm personally learning every day on the AI front, and I think it's just going to be something, again, similar to the journey of data. It's going to continuously change. The speed is just, it's quite fascinating.
Great. Thank you, Sharon and Samir. Another question here, I think this is for Samir. From the data perspective, what is the initial step in harnessing the potential of big data when we find ourselves in a situation where we have data but are uncertain about how to leverage and monetize it? Could you share insights into strategies you've employed or recommended to businesses grappling with uncertainty of the data's potential?
Well, that's where you have to partner with your businesses, right? That's where they come in. That's why you're still showing that slide. Hopefully you can see it, that on the bottom left there, in that people box is the business partners. They're the ones out front speaking to clients, and they're bringing that back into the internal organization, back to the data organization, and we are then taking that, or you take that, and then you'll see where, from a data perspective, you can service those client requirements. And so, unless you partner with your businesses, you're not going to get through to the finish line where you're going to be able to produce a data product that is value added to a client's ecosystem, right? So you have to begin there, and unless you do that, you won't be successful, Caroline. So that's really the short answer is just that. Make sure that you have strong relationships with your business partner.
Great, thank you, Samir. Okay, so what is the one takeaway that you would like to leave our audience with today?
You go.
Let me go first. Look, the one thing I would say, this is not easy. Okay, it is not easy. No data program fits every organization. Every organization is unique. You have to fully understand that uniqueness and then cater the program around that. Okay, and stick with it. There's a lot to gain out of the successful implementation of a data strategy, but understand that uniqueness that makes that company that you work for, and why clients are engaging with that organization. If you understand that, your data strategy will be much easier to implement more and provide a lot more value to the organization itself as well as the end clients.
Yeah, I would echo. By the way, I don't think Samira and I would be sitting here if we haven't had bumps, bruises, and our own little, bumpy ride on this journey. So the idea of it's not easy is probably an accurate statement. The reason why I think it's a takeaway, though, is because it's not a CDO's role, a CIO's role alone. It's not. And just like I talked about AI, and it's a business strategy that you commit to and you frankly fulfill on it. So and that, unfortunately, not one person can do all of that role. So there's a huge combination of players and stakeholders and journeys that need to come together. So again, it's not easy, shouldn't stop you from pushing forward, drawing those partnerships and actually doing what's right. Again, keeping client, employee, and kind of business value front and center.
Great. Thank you so much, Samir and Sharon. That is awesome. With this, let's wrap up this session. And so we've had an insightful session today and exploring crucial intersection of transformation and data. And we actually heard right now from Samir and Sharon that transformation isn't just a choice, it's the new normal, and data, well, it's everywhere.